This craving for constant external engagement, this discomfort with our own company, isn't inherently bad. It's a natural human tendency to seek comfort and avoid pain. But in this avoidance, we often miss a profound opportunity. This brings us to the profound wisdom of walking alone. Not necessarily a physical solitary journey, though that can be powerful, but an inner journey into the depths of your own being. The Buddha's awakening under the Bodhi tree is, when you allow yourself the gift of walking alone, you create the necessary space for clarity to emerge. Our minds are often cluttered with the demands of daily life, the opinions of others, and the constant stream of information. Moreover, solitude is the crucible for inner strength. When you are constantly surrounded by others, it's easy to lean on their opinions, their energy, their validation. But when you consciously choose to walk alone, so how do we begin to embrace this power of walking alone? It starts with a gentle letting go of the fear of loneliness itself. Recognize that loneliness is often a signal, not a failing. Another powerful way to embrace this solitude is through the practice of mindful walking, truly learning the power of walking alone. This isn't about getting from point A to point B. It's about being fully present with each step. Letting go of the constant need for external validation is a profound act of self-love that solitude cultivates. We often measure our worth by how others perceive us, by the likes we get, or the praise we receive. Ultimately, solitude is your greatest spiritual superpower because it is the path to truly abiding in inner peace. When you have cultivated self-discovery, clarity, and inner strength through the practice of walking alone, you carry a sanctuary within you. So, I invite you now to recognize this profound truth: solitude is not a void to be filled, but a sacred space to be cultivated. It is not a punishment, but a pilgrimage. Dare to walk alone. We often seek companionship, a natural human desire. Yet, there's a profound wisdom in learning to walk alone, not as a punishment, but as a path. This isn't about physical isolation, but about cultivating a deep inner space where the initial thought of walking alone often brings forth a familiar discomfort, a subtle tremor of loneliness. We fear the void, the silence that might reveal our insecurities or unmet needs. It's a common human experience to equate being alone. Once we move past the initial fear, solitude transforms into a fertile ground for self-discovery. When the noise of the world quietens, the inner voice, often drowned out, begins to speak. Who are you, truly, beyond your roles, your relationships? Beyond self-discovery, solitude gifts us with unparalleled clarity. In the constant barrage of information and interaction, our minds can become cluttered, our thoughts entangled. Solitude acts as a gentle filter, allowing the essential to surface and the superficial to recede. Embracing solitude is not merely a passive act, it is a powerful practice for building immense inner strength. When you learn to be content in your own company, you become less dependent on external sources for your happiness and validation. The very path of the Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, exemplifies the profound power of walking alone. His journey towards awakening was one of ultimate solitude. He left behind a life of luxury, family, and societal expectations, and so, under the Bodhi tree, after years of solitary seeking, Siddhartha sat in deep meditation, utterly alone with his mind. It was a moment of profound internal struggle, confronting the deepest illusions and attachments. So, can we integrate this profound principle into our own lives? Start by consciously choosing to walk alone in small ways. Take a mindful walk in nature, leaving your phone behind. Pay attention to your breath. Embracing the power of walking alone, therefore, is not about isolating yourself, but about empowering yourself. It's about building a robust inner world that serves as your unwavering anchor. When you cultivate this inner strength through solitude, so I invite you now to consciously seek moments of solitude. Whether it's a quiet walk in a park, a few minutes of stillness in your home, or simply taking a moment to breathe deeply alone. Many of us instinctively recoil from solitude. In a world constantly pushing for connection, for instant communication, for shared experiences, the idea of being truly alone can feel like a punishment, a void that must be filled. We often fear the emptiness that seems to come with being alone, believing it to be a sign of something missing, something wrong within us. Society bombards us with images of constant connection, of vibrant social lives. Let us clarify the distinction between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is a feeling of separation, of being unwanted, a yearning for connection that is unfulfilled. It's an emotional state of deficiency. Solitude, however, is a chosen state in our modern world. Constant connectivity is often seen as a virtue, while solitude is mistakenly viewed as a flaw or a sign of antisocial tendencies. This societal pressure can make us hesitant to embrace the profound benefits of walking. Embracing solitude is an intentional act of letting go of external validation, of the need to be constantly entertained, of the fear of what we might find when we are truly alone with ourselves. In the deliberate act of walking alone, we are not just physically isolated. We are creating an internal space free from the constant narrative of the outside world. This allows us to let go of preconceived notions. The clarity gained in solitude is not merely intellectual. It is profoundly empowering. When we see ourselves and the world more clearly, we naturally cultivate inner strength. This strength isn't about dominance or aggression. It's about resilience. This cultivated solitude, this power of walking alone, truly becomes a spiritual superpower. It's the ability to find refuge within yourself, to draw strength from your own wellspring of wisdom, regardless of external circumstances. The ultimate example of the power of walking alone is found in the story of the Buddha's awakening. Siddhartha Gautama, after years of seeking and practicing with various teachers, ultimately had to sit down alone under the Bodhi tree. So, let us reframe our understanding of solitude. It is not a void to fear, but a fertile ground for growth. It is not a punishment, but a spiritual superpower. Embrace the power of walking alone, not to isolate yourself. As we continue our journey into the spiritual superpowers that lie dormant within us, we arrive at a principle often misunderstood, yet profoundly transformative: the power of walking alone. In a world that constantly urges connection, validation, and companionship, the fear of loneliness is a powerful current in the river of human experience. From childhood, we are taught the importance of belonging, of being part of a group, a family, a community. Paradoxically, in our hyper-connected world, we can often feel more isolated than ever. We mistake constant communication for genuine connection. We scroll through endless feeds, witnessing curated lives, and in doing so, we often feel a subtle erosion of our. To truly understand the power of solitude, we need only look to the life of the Buddha. His path to awakening was, at its core, a solitary journey. He left behind the comforts of his palace. Solitude is not an absence, but a profound presence, the presence with oneself. When the external world quietens, the internal world begins to speak. It's in these moments of being truly alone that we embark on the most vital. In the absence of external noise, the mind begins to settle, much like muddy water, gradually becoming clear when left undisturbed. This stillness is the fertile ground for clarity. We often find ourselves overwhelmed by decisions, by conflicting desires. True inner strength isn't about being impervious to pain or never feeling weak. It's about knowing who you are, what you stand for, and being resilient enough to meet life's challenges from a place of inner stability. So, how do we begin to cultivate this power of walking alone in our daily lives? It doesn't mean isolating ourselves completely, but intentionally carving out moments of solitude. Start small. Perhaps it's a mindful walk in nature. It's important to acknowledge that the initial encounters with solitude might not always be peaceful. When we first quiet the external world, the internal world can become quite noisy. Old anxieties, unresolved emotions, the power of walking alone, therefore, is not about isolating yourself from the world, but about cultivating a profound inner sanctuary that allows you to engage with the world from a place of strength, clarity, and authenticity. We often talk about the journey of spiritual awakening, the path to inner peace, and the profound wisdom that comes with it. Yet, there's one aspect that often remains shrouded in apprehension, a principle that many shy away from. The distinction between loneliness and solitude is crucial. Loneliness is a state of mind, often characterized by a feeling of isolation, a yearning for connection that isn't present. It's a sense of lack. To truly embrace solitude is to make a conscious choice, a deliberate turning away from the noise to find the signal within. It's not a punishment, but a pilgrimage. Imagine a vast, clear lake. True self-discovery often begins in the crucible of solitude. When we strip away the roles we play for others, the expectations we try to meet, the identities we construct for social acceptance, what remains? It is in this raw, clarity is a rare commodity in our fast-paced world. Our minds are constantly bombarded with information, opinions, and demands, leaving little room for clear, unbiased thought. Solitude acts as a mental detox, a quiet retreat where the fog of distraction. The greatest strength is often forged in quietude. When we intentionally choose solitude, we are not avoiding the world, we are preparing ourselves to meet it with greater resilience. It's in these moments of introspection that we confront our deepest. The ultimate testament to the power of walking alone lies in the story of the Buddha's awakening. Siddhartha Gautama, a prince born into luxury and shielded from suffering, made the radical choice to leave his palace, his family, under the Bodhi tree. Siddhartha sat in a meditation so profound, so utterly solitary, that he transcended the boundaries of ordinary consciousness. He faced Mara, the personification of temptation and delusion, not with an army. So, how do we integrate this profound wisdom of solitude into our busy lives? It's not about becoming a hermit or abandoning all social connections. It's about consciously carving out moments, big or small, to walk alone with yourself. Ultimately, solitude is not about being alone. It's about discovering the profound interconnectedness of all things from a place of inner peace. It is your greatest spiritual superpower because it empowers you to be truly present, genuinely compassionate. Often, the very thought of being alone fills us with apprehension, a deep-seated fear of loneliness. We are conditioned to seek constant connection, to fill every silence, avoiding the quiet within. Yet, sometimes, even amidst a crowd, a profound sense of isolation can creep in. True connection, true understanding, often eludes us when we are constantly seeking external validation and distraction. But what if solitude isn't an absence, but a presence? Not a void to be filled, but a sacred space to be discovered. It's here, in these quiet moments, that we begin to hear our own authentic voice. Walking alone, literally or metaphorically, is an invitation to meet yourself. Without the constant distractions of the world, you can truly observe your thoughts, your feelings, and your deepest aspirations with clarity. This deliberate withdrawal from external noise allows for an unparalleled clarity to emerge. The intricate patterns of your mind become visible, like clear water after the sediment has gently settled, revealing profound insights. It's in this profound stillness that inner strength is forged. You learn that your peace doesn't depend on external circumstances or the constant presence of others, but on your own cultivated resilience and inner calm. Consider the Buddha, who sought awakening not in bustling cities, but in the quietude of the forest, under the Bodhi tree. His journey was one of profound solitary introspection, a deeply personal walk alone. It was in that deep solitude, stripped of all worldly attachments, that he found the truth of existence, the path to liberation. His awakening was a testament to the profound power of self-reliance and inner truth. So, embrace solitude not as a burden, but as your greatest spiritual superpower. It is the crucible where self-knowledge is refined, where true freedom begins to blossom gently and beautifully within you. Dare to walk alone, not to escape the world, but to truly find yourself within it. For in your quiet strength, you will discover an unwavering peace that transcends all fear and brings true liberation. Many of us instinctively recoil from the idea of being truly alone. The silence can feel deafening, the stillness unsettling. We fill our lives with noise, with constant connection, with the comfort of company. This fear of being alone, though powerful, is largely a conditioned response. From an early age, we're taught that happiness comes from external sources, from relationships, possessions, achievements, and constant engagement. We are rarely, if ever, so. How do we begin to reframe solitude? Instead of viewing it as a void to be filled, consider it a spacious canvas, an empty room waiting for you to create. It is a sanctuary where you can finally hear. Solitude is where you truly begin the process of self-discovery, peeling back the layers of external influence that have shaped your understanding of who you are. We are constantly absorbing messages from our environment, what to value, how to act. In the quiet embrace of solitude, clarity arises like the morning mist lifting to reveal a pristine landscape. When we are constantly engaged with others, our minds are often cluttered with fragmented thoughts. Reactions. The inner strength forged in solitude is not a hardened, unyielding resilience, but a gentle, adaptable fortitude. It is the strength to be at peace with yourself, regardless of external circumstances. When you spend time alone, the ultimate example of profound solitude as a superpower is found in the story of the Buddha's awakening. Siddhartha Gautama chose to sit alone under the Bodhi tree, facing his own mind, his fears, his attachments. To learn the power of walking alone is not a call to physical isolation, but a metaphor for cultivating an inner sanctuary, a space within where you can always retreat, even amidst the busiest of days. Embracing the power of solitude doesn't mean retreating from the world entirely. It means consciously creating moments of quiet for yourself, even in the midst of a busy life. It could be 5 minutes of silent contemplation before your day. So, Embrace solitude not as an absence, but as a profound presence, the presence of your truest self. Let go of the conditioned fear of being alone and step into this powerful spiritual superpower. Dare to walk alone. We've explored how solitude can be a powerful spiritual force. Today, let us delve into the seventh principle, the profound strength found in the act of walking alone. This isn't merely about physical movement, but a journey inward. The fear of loneliness is a powerful, almost primal, human experience. From childhood, we are conditioned to seek connection, to be part of a group, to avoid the discomfort of being isolated. Society often frames solitude as a punishment. To reframe solitude is to see it not as an absence, but as a presence. It is not the emptiness of being without others, but the fullness of being truly with oneself. Imagine solitude as a sacred space. Walking alone is a powerful catalyst for self-discovery. In the absence of external conversations and distractions, our internal dialogue becomes clearer. It's in these quiet moments that we begin to hear the authentic voice of our own intuition. One of the most precious gifts of solitude is clarity of mind. Our modern lives are often a whirlwind of information, demands, and opinions, making it incredibly difficult to discern what truly matters. When we step away, beyond clarity, solitude fosters a profound sense of inner strength. When we consistently seek external validation or rely on others for our sense of worth, our inner reserves can dwindle. But in walking alone, to truly appreciate the power of walking alone, we need only look to the story of the Buddha's awakening. Siddhartha Gautama, a prince who had experienced every worldly pleasure, chose to abandon it all. Under that very Bodhi tree, Siddhartha faced his final trials alone. The temptations of Mara, the personification of desire and fear, assailed him. He had no one to lean on, no one to consult. So, how do we integrate this power of walking alone into our busy modern lives? It doesn't necessarily mean abandoning our responsibilities or retreating to a cave. It means consciously carving out moments of chosen solitude. In closing, remember that solitude is not a state to be feared, but a spiritual superpower waiting to be unlocked. It is in the quiet moments of walking alone, physically or mentally, that we confront our fears. In a world constantly buzzing with connection, the thought of being alone often sparks a deep-seated fear. We're conditioned to believe that solitude equals loneliness, a void to be filled, rather than a space to be cherished. This fear of loneliness can drive us to seek constant external validation, to fill every quiet moment with noise, and to avoid turning inward. Yet, true growth often begins in the very silence we try so hard to escape. But what if solitude isn't a lack, but a choice? A conscious turning inward, not from avoidance, but from a profound desire to understand oneself without the constant noise of the world. It is a deliberate act of self-care. In this chosen solitude, freed from external demands, we begin a profound journey of self-discovery. We hear the whispers of our own heart, unclouded by others' expectations. This is where we truly meet ourselves. When we step away from the constant demands and distractions, our mind begins to settle. The mental fog clears, allowing us to see situations with greater clarity, to discern what truly matters from what is merely noise. This clarity, born of solitude, cultivates a profound inner strength. We learn to rely on our own wisdom, to trust our intuition, and to find our footing within ourselves, rather than constantly seeking support from external sources. Recall the Buddha's journey. His awakening didn't happen amidst a crowd, but under the Bodhi tree, in profound solitude. It was there, through deep introspection and unshakable resolve, that he faced his inner demons and discovered the path to liberation. This profound power of solitude extends beyond sitting meditation. It can be found in the simple, yet profound, act of walking alone. Each step becomes a mindful meditation, a connection to the earth. In each deliberate step, we shed the layers of external identity and expectation. The mind quiets, the senses awaken, and we become acutely aware of our breath, our body, and the ground beneath our feet. So, let go of the fear of being alone. Embrace solitude not as an absence, but as a presence, a profound connection to your true self, to clarity, and to an unshakable inner strength. Step onto that path of walking alone. Often, the thought of solitude fills us with a quiet dread. We fear being alone, mistaking it for loneliness, a void we feel compelled to fill. But what if this fear obscures a profound gift? Society often teaches us to seek validation in company, to believe our worth is tied to our connections. Yet, true strength isn't measured by how many stand beside you, but by the ground you hold within. True connection, the kind that truly nourishes, begins not with others, but deep within yourself. It's in the quiet chambers of your own heart that you find your most profound companion. Solitude isn't the absence of others, but the profound presence of yourself. It's an invitation to shed external expectations and simply be, fully and authentically, with your own breath. To learn the power of walking alone is to walk not just physically, but spiritually. It is to release the need for external validation, trusting your own steps, guided by an inner compass. In these moments of solitary walking, you create space for self-discovery and clarity. The external noise fades, allowing the soft whispers of your own wisdom to emerge, guiding your true path. It is in solitude that inner strength is truly forged. Without distractions, you learn to face your own mind, to understand its patterns, and to find a stillness that no external circumstance can shatter. Just as the Buddha found profound awakening under the Bodhi tree in deep solitude, so too can you discover your own inherent wisdom when you dare to sit and walk alone. Embrace these precious moments of solitude. Whether it's a quiet walk in nature, a few minutes of silent contemplation, or simply being present with your breath, let them be your sanctuary. Remember, solitude is not a lack, but a fullness. It is your greatest spiritual superpower, a path to profound self-discovery and an unshakable peace that resides eternally within. In our modern world, the idea of being truly alone can evoke a deep sense of unease, even fear. We are conditioned to seek connection, to fill every silence, every moment, with noise or company. We live in an age of hyperconnectivity, where our phones are extensions of ourselves, constantly buzzing with notifications, demanding our attention. This relentless stream of information and social interaction leaves little room for quiet contemplation. The fear of missing out. From a Buddhist perspective, solitude is not the same as loneliness. Loneliness is a feeling of separation, a craving for connection that is unfulfilled. It arises from within, from our own mind's perception of lack. Solitude, however, the seventh principle, learn the power of walking alone, encapsulates this profound Buddhist wisdom. It's not just about a physical act of solitary walking, though that can be a powerful practice. It's a metaphor for cultivating an inner independence. It is in these moments of chosen solitude that we find the space for true self-discovery and clarity. When the external world goes quiet, the internal world begins to speak. Without the constant input and demands from others, beyond clarity, solitude becomes a powerful forge for inner strength. When we intentionally step away from the constant feedback and approval of others, we learn to stand on our own 2 feet, spiritually and emotionally. The ultimate testament to the power of solitude lies in the story of the Buddha's awakening. Siddhartha Gautama, after years of seeking and practicing with various teachers, ultimately chose to sit alone under the Bodhi tree. It was a singular. The wisdom that emerges from quiet introspection is unlike any knowledge gained from books or external teachings. It is an experiential wisdom, deeply integrated into our very being. When we allow ourselves to truly walk alone through the landscapes of, ultimately, solitude is your greatest spiritual superpower. It is the crucible where your true self is refined, where clarity is forged, and where inner strength is cultivated. It is not an escape from the world, so I invite you to consciously seek out moments of solitude in your own life. Do not fear the quiet, but embrace it as an opportunity to truly hear yourself. Practice walking alone in whatever way resonates with you. Many of us carry a deep-seated fear of being alone. In a world that constantly pushes for connection, for belonging, for shared experiences, the idea of solitude can feel like a punishment, a sign of failure. The 7th principle of profound spiritual growth invites us to learn the power of walking alone. This isn't a call to isolation or a rejection of community, but an invitation to cultivate a deep relationship with your innermost self. To truly understand this power, we must first reframe solitude. It is not the same as loneliness. Loneliness is a feeling of disconnection, a longing for company. Solitude, by contrast, is a chosen state. This chosen solitude becomes a mirror, reflecting your true self back to you. When you are alone, there is no need to perform, no role to play, no mask to wear. You are simply you. And in that from this clarity, an unshakable inner strength begins to emerge. When you realize that your happiness and peace are not contingent on external circumstances, relationships, or achievements, you become incredibly resilient. Solitude teaches you self-reliance, not in a harsh. This profound understanding of solitude is deeply woven into the fabric of Buddhist wisdom. From the very beginning, the path to awakening has often been depicted as a solitary journey. Many of the Buddha's early disciples, and indeed, the most iconic example of this is the Buddha's own awakening. Siddhartha Gautama embarked on a spiritual quest that ultimately led him to sit alone beneath the Bodhi tree. This was not a moment of communal gathering or public discourse. His strength, his unwavering resolve, came not from an army or followers, but from the deep well of wisdom cultivated in that solitary space. This is the strength that lies within each of us. This profound inner fortitude. So, how can we integrate this profound power of walking alone into our busy, interconnected modern lives? It doesn't mean abandoning your responsibilities or withdrawing from society. It simply means intentionally carving out moments of chosen solitude. This intentional embrace of solitude transforms what was once a fear into your greatest spiritual superpower. It's the superpower of self-discovery, leading you to an authentic understanding of who you truly are. It's the superpower of clarity in a world that constantly pushes us to connect, to belong, to be seen. The very idea of solitude can often feel like a threat. It whispers to us of loneliness, of being left out. Why do we shy away from this inner quiet, this space of aloneness? Often, it's because when the external distractions fade, we are left with the buzzing of our own minds. The endless stream of thoughts, anxieties about the future. This leads us to a profound reframing. Solitude is not the absence of others, but the presence of self. It is a conscious choice to turn inwards, to cultivate a relationship with our own being, independent of external conditions. In the profound silence of solitude, we create the space necessary to truly hear our inner voice. Our lives are often dictated by external narratives, what society expects, what our peers advise, what media dictates. Solitude also grants us unparalleled clarity. In our fast-paced, information-saturated world, our minds are constantly bombarded with stimuli, opinions, and demands. This external noise often obscures our ability to see situations, relationships, and even ourselves with objectivity. Now, let's turn to the seventh principle, learn the power of walking alone. This isn't necessarily about physical isolation, though that can be a powerful practice. More profoundly, it speaks to an inner journey. The ultimate embodiment of this walking alone power is seen in the story of the Buddha's awakening. Siddhartha Gautama left the comforts of his palace, his family, and all worldly attachments to embark on a solitary quest for truth. From this understanding, we see that solitude is not a punishment, but a profound gift. It is the wellspring of inner strength, the sanctuary where resilience is cultivated. When we regularly retreat into our inner quiet, so how can we integrate this spiritual superpower into our daily lives? It doesn't require us to abandon our responsibilities or isolate ourselves completely. It begins with creating small pockets of solitude, intentional moments where we disconnect from external demands. So, embrace solitude as your greatest spiritual superpower. Do not fear the quiet, for it is in the quiet that you will truly hear yourself, truly understand your path, and truly connect with the boundless wisdom that is inherently yours. Often, the thought of solitude brings a subtle unease, a fear of loneliness. We are conditioned to seek connection, to fill every quiet moment with presence. But what if this fear obscures a profound gift? But solitude, in the Buddhist sense, isn't about absence, it's about presence. It's the sacred space where you meet yourself, unburdened by external expectations, unswayed by the world's noise. The Buddha taught the power of walking alone, not just physically, but spiritually. Each step becomes an inquiry, a journey into the vast landscape of your own mind, free from distraction. In this solitary walk, you shed layers of identity imposed by others. You discover what truly resonates within, what truly matters when the echoes of the world fall silent. This deliberate detachment brings clarity. The mind, no longer bombarded by external stimuli, settles like disturbed water, revealing the clear depths of wisdom and insight. This journey of solitude builds profound inner strength. You learn to rely on your own wisdom, to find solace within, rather than constantly seeking validation from the outside world. Remember the Buddha's path to awakening. He did not achieve enlightenment amidst a crowd, but through years of solitary practice and profound introspection. Under the Bodhi tree, alone, he faced his deepest fears and attachments, transforming them into wisdom. His solitude was not an escape, but the crucible of his enlightenment. You too can cultivate this spiritual superpower. Embrace moments of quiet, step onto the path of walking alone, and allow the stillness to reveal your truest, most resilient self. Solitude is not a void to be filled, but a fertile ground for growth. Discover your spiritual superpower. Step into its embrace, and walk your unique path with clarity and unwavering strength. Often, The thought of being alone brings a quiet unease, a fear of loneliness. We are conditioned to seek connection, to fill silence with sound, and solitude can feel like a void, an absence we must escape. Yet, this solitude is not an emptiness to be feared, but a vast, open space. It is within this stillness, away from the clamor of the world, that we begin to hear the whispers of our own true nature. Walking alone, we shed the layers of expectation and identity we wear for others. There's no performance, no need to impress. Just you, the path, and the unfolding of your authentic self, step by gentle step. In this unburdened space, the mind, too, begins to quiet. The incessant chatter, the endless to-do lists, the external demands, they all recede, allowing clarity to emerge like the morning mist lifting. This clarity is not just intellectual, it's a deep inner knowing, a strength that arises from within. Solitude teaches us to rely on our own wisdom, to find our anchor not in external validation. It was under such a tree, in profound solitude, that the Buddha found his awakening. He walked alone, sat alone, and in that ultimate aloneness, he pierced through the illusions of the world to discover universal truth. His journey reminds us that solitude is not isolation, but a homecoming. It is the brave choice to turn inward, to face the self without distraction, and in doing so, unlock the boundless wisdom that resides within. So embrace the power of walking alone, not as a punishment, but as a pilgrimage. Each step a discovery, each moment of quietude a revelation, leading you closer to the profound strength of your own spiritual heart. This inner strength is not about being invulnerable, but about being whole. It's the peace found when you are truly comfortable in your own presence, needing nothing more than the quiet wisdom of your own heart. So, dare to walk alone, to sit in stillness, and discover that your greatest spiritual superpower isn't found in what you gain from the world, but in the profound wisdom you uncover within yourself. Begin your solitary journey today. In a world constantly buzzing, perpetually connected, many of us quietly carry a profound fear, the fear of being alone. We fill our days with noise, with company, with endless distractions, anything to avoid the quiet spaces where we might. To embrace solitude is not to abandon connection, but to cultivate a deeper, more authentic connection within. It's an act of radical self-presence. When the external world quietens, the inner world begins to speak. The whispers of our true self, the act of walking alone becomes a profound metaphor for our spiritual journey through life. Each step we take, whether on a forest path or the path of our existence, is an opportunity for discovery. In the embrace of solitude, we gain unparalleled clarity. When the echoes of others' opinions fade, when the pressures of societal expectations dissolve, the mind, like a disturbed pond, slowly settles. The ripples of distraction cease. The journey of walking alone, far from making us vulnerable, cultivates an unshakable inner strength. When we step away from the constant validation of others, from the comfort of collective identity, we are compelled to rely on our own resources. When we look to the life of the Buddha, we find the ultimate testament to the power of walking alone. Prince Siddhartha renounced his kingdom, his family, his every worldly comfort, to embark on a solitary quest for truth. The profound solitude experienced by the Buddha under the Bodhi tree was not one of isolation, but of ultimate integration. It was a state where all external dependencies fell away, allowing for the full blossoming of inner wisdom and compassion. So, how do we integrate this spiritual superpower into our busy, connected lives? It's not about becoming a recluse, but about consciously creating space for solitude. It could be a few minutes of quiet contemplation by a window. Solitude, therefore, is not a weakness to be feared, nor an absence to be filled, but your greatest spiritual superpower. It is the fertile ground where self-discovery blossoms, where clarity illuminates your path, and where inner strength takes root. As we conclude our reflection, remember that the power of walking alone is not a burden, but a profound blessing. It is in these quiet moments, when you dare to be fully present with yourself, after exploring the many facets of finding peace within, we arrive at a powerful, often misunderstood, principle: the power of walking alone. For many, the very thought of solitude can trigger a deep-seated fear, the fear of loneliness. The fear of loneliness is not a personal failing, it's deeply ingrained in our social fabric. From childhood, we're taught the importance of connection, of being part of a group. And rightly so, as humans are inherently social creatures. Now, let us begin to reframe this understanding. Solitude is not loneliness. Loneliness is a feeling of isolation, a yearning for connection that is absent. Solitude, on the other hand, is a conscious choice. In the embrace of solitude, we unlock the door to self-discovery. When you are truly alone, stripped of all roles and expectations, who are you? What are your deepest values, independent of societal pressures? What brings you genuine joy? Beyond self-discovery, solitude is a powerful catalyst for clarity. Our minds are constantly bombarded with information, opinions, and distractions. This external noise creates internal clutter, making it difficult to discern what truly matters. When you step away from the cacophony, as you cultivate self-discovery and clarity through solitude, you simultaneously build an unshakable inner strength. This strength is not about being impervious to pain or emotion, it's about developing resilience, self-reliance, and an inner compass that guides you regardless of. This profound inner strength, cultivated in the crucible of solitude, is precisely what allowed the Buddha to embark on his extraordinary path to awakening. Before his enlightenment, Siddhartha Gautama spent years in solitary contemplation. The pinnacle of this journey of solitude is, of course, the Buddha's awakening under the Bodhi tree. It was a moment of profound, solitary realization, an event that reshaped human understanding of existence. For 49 days, how can we integrate this spiritual superpower of walking alone into our busy modern lives? It doesn't require abandoning your responsibilities or retreating to a cave. It simply requires conscious intention. Start small. In conclusion, the fear of loneliness often masks the profound gift of solitude. When we learn to embrace the power of walking alone, we unlock a spiritual superpower that transforms our lives. This conscious choice to step away from we often fear being alone, mistaking solitude for loneliness. This fear can keep us constantly seeking external company, even when our inner self yearns for quiet reflection. True solitude isn't an absence of others, but a conscious choice to be present with oneself. It's an intentional step away from the world's demands to listen to your own heart's rhythm. It is in these quiet moments, away from distractions, that we truly begin to see ourselves. Our fears, our desires, our deepest truths emerge, uncolored by external influences. This is the path to self-discovery. Without the constant chatter of the world, our minds can finally settle. The murky waters of confusion become clear, revealing insights that were always there, waiting to be seen. This is the clarity of solitude. When we stop relying on external validation, we tap into an inexhaustible wellspring of inner strength. Solitude strengthens our roots, allowing us to stand firm amidst life's storms, unshakable and resilient. The Buddha himself chose the path of solitude. He left behind the comforts of his palace, walking alone into the wilderness, not out of despair, but out of a profound quest for truth. His journey inspires us. It was under the Bodhi tree, in profound solitude, that Siddhartha Gautama attained enlightenment. His journey reminds us that the deepest wisdom and liberation often arise when we bravely face ourselves, alone. To learn the power of walking alone, begin simply. Find a quiet path, a park, or even a room in your home. Leave your phone behind. Just walk, or sit, in mindful awareness, observing without judgment. Embracing solitude allows us to cultivate inner peace, deepen our wisdom, and expand our compassion for all beings. It's a journey not away from the world, but deeper into its heart, through your own. So, embrace solitude not as an escape, but as a return to your truest self. Discover the spiritual superpower within the quiet moments, and let it illuminate your path. Begin your journey inward today. We've explored many facets of solitude, but today, let us delve into the profound power of walking alone, the seventh principle of spiritual strength. It's not merely about physical movement. For many, the idea of walking alone evokes fear of loneliness, of being isolated, of confronting the vast silence within. We often fill our lives with noise to avoid this very encounter. Yet, solitude is not loneliness. It is a chosen space, a sacred pause where the external noise fades, allowing the quiet whispers of your true self to emerge. It is essential for self-discovery. When you walk alone, free from distractions, your mind has space to breathe. Thoughts, feelings, and sensations arise and pass, allowing for clarity to emerge, like still waters revealing their depths. In this quiet space, you learn to let go of external validation and opinions. You connect with an inner strength that doesn't depend on others, a resilience that comes from truly knowing yourself. Remember the Buddha. He walked alone into the wilderness, sat beneath the Bodhi tree in deep solitude, and faced his inner demons. It was in that profound aloneness that he awakened to ultimate truth. So, embrace the power of walking alone. Take intentional time to disconnect from the world's demands and reconnect with your inner landscape. It doesn't require a pilgrimage, just a mindful step. Let solitude be your sanctuary, your laboratory for self-discovery, and your source of unwavering inner strength. It is truly your greatest spiritual superpower. Begin your journey today.